Hi, everyone. This is Ken Hiltner. First, welcome to our conference. I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that you watch as many of the talks as you can, and that you take part in the Q&A sessions, which we hope will be very exciting. I wanted to take just a minute or two, well, a few minutes, I guess, to talk about why we've undertaken a conference like this. The first reason is environmental. Recently UC Santa Barbara did an assessment of the carbon footprint for the entire campus. We looked at buildings, gas, electricity. We looked at the labs. We looked at the vehicle fleet. We tried to take everything into account. And the results really surprised me because roughly a third of the carbon footprint for the campus came just from air travel to conferences, talks, meetings, and the like. To put that in another frame, that's 55 million pounds of carbon dioxide or equivalent gases expended every year by this one campus. Put that in human terms, that's the equivalent of a city of 27,500 people for an entire year for all aspects of their lives in India. That's an astonishing amount of CO2. So obviously, one of the reasons that we want to do a conference like this is to cut down on that. This is our second such conference. When we did the math for the first one, we discovered that, its carbon footprint was smaller than 1% of a traditional conference. But there are other reasons, cultural reasons, and important ones. Most people on the planet will never get in an airplane. In fact, only 1 in 20 people on the planet have ever been in an airplane. And, this simple fact summarily excludes scholars from all over the developing world to conferences. And what I mean by that is, the airfare to pretty much anywhere in the developing world, to pretty much anywhere in North America, for example, often will exceed the per capita income of those countries, meaning that scholars have an incredibly difficult time coming to conferences. We're very pleased that this conference has scholars from all 6 continents, none from Antarctica, and that we have quite a few. And we're also proud of the fact that we worked hard to make sure that this conference can be viewed all over the world, even in places like China, where they ban YouTube, which is our streaming source. We've kind of worked a little workaround that will allow folks there, by way of our website, to watch talks. So I think that's really important, to open up conferences which have, largely been closed-door affairs for a long time. And not just to folks in different parts of the world, but for different sorts of, of individuals with different, capabilities and accessibility issues. And what I mean by that is, this conference, anyone can watch it anywhere. You don't have to worry about the accessibility, hurdles of going through an airport. And we're very pleased for the first time that we've made the conference entirely closed captioned, and all of the talks are closed captioned, and most of them have been closed captioned has been carefully edited by the speakers themselves to make sure that it's accurate, which I think is just wonderful for individuals who are obviously deaf or hard of hearing. So a conference like this also has the ability to be far more inclusive for a whole range of individuals. It's also the case that, and this is related, that it creates an archive, and the fact that it's just open entirely means that anyone anywhere can watch this talk, and that's something that hasn't really been possible before. So, really terrific conferences, where groundbreaking work is done, very few people get to attend those, and since there is no archive often left from them, they're a very privileged bunch. In this case, however, anyone can do this. And in fact, we've opened this conference up so that anyone anywhere can participate in the Q&A sessions as well. So we think that's very important. In It's also the case that, and we are advocating for this type of conference. In fact, we've created a white paper that explains how we did it, in case people would like to follow our example. Although we're very happy if people diverge from our example and do something entirely different, insofar as they're beginning to think about how to do a conference without air travel. That's just great. But it is the case that an institution anywhere in the world now has the ability to stage a conference like this. Traditionally doing an international conference between, the honorarium for a keynote speaker or multiple keynote speakers, travel involved, a venue, food for dinners and all, can be an incredibly expensive proposition that, institutions in the developing world wouldn't necessarily have the ability to do, or, institutions all over the place. We hope that this format allows people everywhere to be able to stage conferences, and not just, institutions of higher learning, but groups of all sorts. So our hope is that this effort to rethink the traditional conference for the 21st century will have sufficient, number of advantages that it will be appealing for other folks to experiment with it. But you have the opportunity to assess just how well something like this works. Last time, we were very happy that our Q&A sessions were very active. In fact, one of them had a little over 10 times more activity than you would traditionally get at a face-to-face Q&A session. We'll see what happens this time. I actually have high hopes that this is going to be a very active conference. We'll be open for 3 weeks. We hope that you come back, and it can, of course, be viewed on any sort of device, and noteworthy, too, it can be produced on any sort of device. And what I mean by that is, speakers did not have to have very expensive equipment. In fact, really all that you needed was a smartphone. And in fact, some people did do their talks just with a smartphone. So won't take your time further. There are some really interesting talks that I think you'd be rather watching than listening to me. But do give it a chance and see how you like this format, and let us know. And think about, if you're really intrigued by the concept, maybe doing a conference like this of your own. Okay, thank you very much, and take care.